music down. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our little chat with David Shadpour this morning. We are going to have time for a little Q&A. David will let me know when, and I will bring the microphone around to you. We are actually probably going to start in about 10 seconds now. So you're going to hear me wildly applauding in the corner. If you could join in, that's going to be David's cue to join us on the stage. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Hello, 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 hello. Okay, let's do this. How are we feeling? Woo! Oh, there's energy. Thank you. Okay, before we hop into the story and the other story and the other story, I want to share a story about me. Try to keep it real. And before I do, I'm going to pick on a couple people. Forgive me. The first is this young lady here. What's your name? Hey, Denise.
Hello, how are you? I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. Great to meet you. Sorry, I know I'm not supposed to do this. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Jen.
Hey, Jen. I'm David. Where are you from?
Hi, David. I am from Ventura, California.
Ooh, Valley girl. Okay, cool. I am David Shadpour. I am born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I am going to share a tiny bit about my story, and I promise at the end it'll all tie back together. I grew up in LA, the oldest of 6 kids. My parents are both foreigners. They came here from Iran during a revolution. My real last name is actually Isaiah, but they changed it to a more Iranian name to avoid prejudice against Jews. I came to LA. My dad came with a lot of money because his dad was successful, and he blew it all. So we grew up with absolutely nothing. We were evicted all the time. I remember as a kid, like I want to go to school, and my mom's like, we have to wait before this guy leaves because he's going to serve us to evict us. So every single few months, we'd move from house to house, and I would be eating like leftovers from different buddies from school, stuff like that. Stuff I don't love sharing. But why am I sharing it? Human creativity is powerful. I grew up really shitty life. Poverty, domestic violence, verbal abuse, cancer, all the bad stuff. But as a kid, I had this mindset that when I grew up, I was going to be the best dad ever. And when I grew up, I was going to buy a big house, and we were going to live there and not move around. That was a child's perspective. And that creativity manifested itself because I was committed to it. Today, I got very lucky. I married a great girl from the South. I have 4 kids. They're all blonde hair, blue eyes. I wish I had a photo. It would be cool to see. And we live in a beautiful house that I'm really proud of. That creativity is a lot of what we're going to talk about. That authenticity that you just heard from me is a lot of what we're going to talk about. This idea of UGC and influencer and all the buzzwords that everybody knows, it all comes down to one key essential word: authenticity. Was that authentic? Was my story real? Was I vulnerable? Totally. Could you feel a part of my story? For some of you, no. For maybe, hopefully, many of you, yes. For those of you who might be able to relate, very much so. So that is the power of user-generated content. Is just some industry lingo. Authenticity, influencer, blah, 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 blah. It's all basically just people being creative, sharing something about themselves. Whether it's branded or not is kind of a side note, right? It's like, I am sharing creatively a part of my soul with you. And if that inspires you, that's influence. That's whatever label you guys want to put on it, God bless you. All right? And with that, with the 2 people in the front, I just want to thank you for helping me break the ice a little. I'll come back to you guys too. Okay, what are we going to cover? Industry challenges, what the hell's going on? How am I doing on the sound? It's good? Hey, is Ozzy here? Quick shout out real quick. Ozzy Cutter in the back there is my first boss. This guy took a real risk on hiring me when I had absolutely nothing going on. I graduated from school, I had no job, and I had actually absolutely no money. I was borrowing $50 from everyone I know to pay my rent. So thank you, Ozzy. I love you. Okay, we're going to cover challenges in the industry. What are the leaders doing? How to scale in this game? What's your North Star? And then the landscape today and how to win. I'm assuming the audience is really mixed, so I'm going to do my best to cover as many different angles as I can. But at any point, if anyone has any question, just ask. Free flow. We have a question. Oh, and there's a young lady in the back there with a microphone if you want one, but I think you might be able to pull it off even without a mic. No, not allowed. Okay, breaking rules, breaking rules. Okay, challenges. Oh, everybody in the audience is so young. But back in the day, we didn't have the internet. It's a crazy concept. And you'd get catalogs. Did anyone here get the Toys R Us catalog? I miss that catalog so much. But now they have e-commerce, right? It's like, Daddy, can you buy me this on Amazon? I'm like, how did you even know they have that toy? So in the e-commerce game, what happened was they had the product catalogs, they had them from print, and they had to put them on the internet. It was just the natural progression. So the internet became a bunch of white backdrop product photos. Anyone remember that? Like early eBay, Craigslist. Does anyone remember Craigslist? All right, anyways. Okay, that was that game. But now we know the world's quite different. We know that consumption is shifting, and we know that people are spending a lot of time on social. I am so honored that you are sitting on the floor to hear from me. Hi. Okay, I'm going to skip all the stats. I'm assuming you guys already get it. But here's the big question. In a world where we're accustomed to making content for traditional, what happens in social? In a world where content is television and print, you really only need one picture, one video that speaks to everyone. That's the idea. The old model was, I have one picture that talks to everyone in this room. I have one video that talks to everyone in this room. What's social? The opposite. Everyone's social feed in this room is different. Jen, what's on your social feed? Your dog. So if I were to look at one of your social channels, would I see a lot of cute dog photos? Okay, great. What was your name again? Denise, what's on your social feed? Concerts? Oh, cool. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Concerts, for those of you who didn't hear. And if you go to mine, there's a lot of architecture, design, whatever. I like that stuff. We could do this all day to everyone in the room, right? Everyone has a different channel. You're consuming very super personalized content. How in the world do I talk to you if you are all watching different things, different channels? And even more than that, you're all dealing with content fatigue. You all have ADD. Nobody knows how to watch a video for more than 3 seconds. It's like an endless game. Endless. As you know, bottomless scroll. It's endless. For those of you who consume social content all day, which is unfortunately all of us, you don't have attention span and you're not being forced to watch it anymore like we were as kids. Does anyone remember that? There was only one channel that had cartoons and you had to watch that channel. So if you woke up Saturday morning and it was Ninja Turtles, that's what you were watching. But that's not how it works anymore, right? Now my kid can go to YouTube and search whatever his heart desires, which is very scary as a parent, and just consume as long as they like. That creates problems for attention span if you're trying to hold attention span. How do I stay relevant? How do I keep you engaged? Okay, how the hell do you do it? The best way to figure that out is to look at what the leaders in the space are doing. They are working to own the entire spectrum of content because you're consuming so much content all the time. How many people are on their mobile phone while they watch TV? How many people are on their mobile phone while they're listening to this lecture, right? We're consuming content all the time. How in the world do I keep your attention span? We're going to talk a lot about the spectrum, owning the entire customer journey. Not just awareness and consideration and the final sale, but I mean everywhere your eyeballs go. Sony, Angry Birds. How did you used to make a spot for a new movie? You'd hire an agency and you'd do a cut and you'd spend a lot of cash and all that good stuff. In this story, this brand activated 300 moms to take their kids to the theater watch Angry Birds, and then record the experience. How cool is that? Do you think the kids had a good time? Do you think they captured authenticity? For anyone in the room who has children and has gone to a movie theater with them, they love it. Can you capture that on your mobile phone? Is that powerful for Sony? This started as a social activation to make content to feed their Instagram, and it turned into a TV spot. Crocs. Oh, Crocs is really crushing it in the social game. Same story. Do you hire the traditional model? You have one asset. Or do you activate the consumers who already love you to make cool content? And for those of us who know a little bit about Crocs, they've got these cool little pins that you put in your shoes. That's an example of personalization. So if we all wore Crocs right now, we'd all wear them a little differently. And that's powerful for social. There's a theme here, guys, centered around who's making this content for the brands. And I promise we'll come back to that. Four Seasons hotels. When you want to go stay at a hotel, what do? You look at their website? I don't buy any of that, those high-resolution photos. I know it's not true. I'm looking at UGC. If I can't find a review, like a visual review, I tend to not book it. So how do you stay ahead of that game? How do you make sure that you have a little bit of control, especially if you're a five-star resort where people are making content? I use these brands as examples because they have legal teams and brand rules and all the hoops and hoo-las. And with them, they're figuring out this game. So if they can figure it out, every brand in this room can. We'll talk more about that, I promise. All Saints. Yes, they have models. Yes, they still use their agency. All the brands do. But they're activating their customers. They're empowering them to be creative. What do you love about my brand? And it's not just what do you love about my brand and post it on social. It's what do you love about my brand? Post it on social. I'll post it on social. I'll put in an ad. And I'll put it on e-com on the product page so that when Jen goes to buy that sweater, she knows exactly what it looks like on someone that looks like Jen. This is really big for fashion and beauty and a lot of those categories. What does this shirt look like on Dad Bod Dave? Because I care zero about what it looks like on Six-Pack John. You know? Like, at the end of the day, that is the reality around authenticity. Oh, God, there's so many case studies. All right, I'm going to fly through these. I think you guys get the point. I'll show you a couple other cool ones. H&M, globally. Again, activating to create content for social, activating for all the good stuff, but also in-store. Now going into a store and seeing people that look like you authentically created content for you to get a sense of this product or experience. Oh, this Zillow one's so cool. They also made this a TV spot. This was just activating people to create video content when they first got a house. Why is that interesting? Let's just think about it. For those of us who have bought a home or are considering buying a home, it's a really magical experience. Oh, I wish I had the photo of when I bought my first house with my kids. It's like tearjerker. You know, you got like all these little kids in front of a house. I grew up with fucking nothing, you know? It was the best moment of my life. Zillow managed to capture that. That's like so epic. You didn't need to hire an actor and an actress to pretend like they love each other. You know, it's like, no, this is real. Okay, guys, I'm going to skip. I think I made my point. There's a lot more slides in here than I thought. But clearly it applies to every single category. Ooh, Calvin Klein, this is another good one. Barbie. Dads Who Play Barbie. Does anyone remember that? The Super Bowl spot? Okay, anyways. All right, let's go. Oh, man, there's a lot of clients in here. All right, hold on. Oh, this is another good one. Like, I love the in-store ones because it's the reverse of what you think, where they took social content and they start putting it in-store. Okay, how the hell do you do this? There we go. My goal wasn't to come here and just show you guys a bunch of case studies. The point of the case studies was basically to show you, like, I promise it works. Now that you believe me, I'll show you how to do it. Step one, What in the world are you even trying to do? Right? You have a goal. How many brands are still figuring out what their goal is? That's cool, but you need to start with that. So let's say my goal is to sell products. I want to sell this shirt. Okay, great. How am I going to do that? If you ask me, my personal opinion is, ask your customers. David, what do you like about this shirt? This shirt's actually really heavy. That's what I like about it. Why do you like your car? Why do you like that beauty company you use? Why do you like that pair of shoes? Everyone has a reason. Ask them. Don't pay some random kid $10,000 to promote Mountain Dew when he hates Mountain Dew. We could get into like my heat with influencer marketing, but the reality is everything comes back to authenticity. So whether it's an existing customer or an influencer that you hire or a celebrity that you hire, I don't mind how much capital is exchanged. But if there's authenticity, you'll get creativity. If you get creativity, you'll be able to resonate with your end consumer. Does that make sense? That's the core to everything. All right, so we have a brief. We define who we want to work with. Oh, this is good. I'm not going to say the brand's name, but we worked with a beauty brand, and they defined what you might think, millennial females. And then I happened to be in that meeting and begged that we don't do any gender targeting, which is very uncommon. And my ask was, listen, if some guys opt in, I bet you they're going to be epic, because who knows about beauty makeup? People were passionate about it. And of, I think, 200 people, 2 men opted in. And one of those videos was the best performing ad they've ever had in the company history. This guy knew everything about cover-up. It was unreal. So people who opt in, authenticity, right, who are inspired, who are creative about the idea, their content will be superb. Once you've defined all that, and you go out and you partner, and we'll talk a bit about how to do that, and you source all that content, the real trick is actually using it. So the point of the slides that I shared earlier was really just to show everyone that brands are using the content. So there's this misconception that UGC and influencer marketing is a function of Jen creating a video and putting it on her social handle. And that is really just a focus group. Did it resonate with her audience or not is interesting, but that's not scale. Scale is taking that asset and putting it on TV, on your website, in your ads, on your collateral, in the store, on the packaging. I mean, you can use this content anywhere. When I opened and shared a bit about myself, you could say that's more appropriate for a therapy session. But it's not true. Authenticity resonates with people. There are people in this room who later will be like, hey, Dave, thanks for sharing your story. We're humans. That's how we communicate. It doesn't have to be just a megaphone talking like that. It can be relating and feeling one another. The same thing applies here. Okay. You know what? Before I go to the next slide, how am I doing? Did that make sense on what the big brands are doing? A lot of the next slides are going to be the formula. I just wanted to get everyone bought in that this is actually a good idea. Okay, a lot of good nods. God, I'm so happy we're not on Zoom. Zoom is the worst. Half the room would be black screens. The other half of the room would be like maybe nodding, but I know they're on Instagram. Okay, let's go. How to scale. All right, how do you scale this thing? How in the world do you do this thing? Now, I'm going to ask, forgive the slides with all the tech. I am the founder of a tech company, so I just copied and pasted a lot of my slides. But this is not a sales pitch. You don't need to use the tools, and I'm going to present it to you in a way where you can do it on your own if that's what your heart desires. But yes, there is technology out there, okay? All right, step 1, set goals and briefs. I'm going to make some examples. My goal is to sell this sweater. Okay. What's my brief? What am I going to ask people to do? Oh, my God. Can I tell you how many people ask that question of their legal team? Why are you going to get legal involved? Like, what's the brief? The brief is share with me what you love about this sweater. Finished. Now, look, a lot of brands can't handle that. I get it. But that's really how you unlock the power. Sure, you could have rules like no other logos, right? Don't smoke weed in the content. Yeah, I get it. But for the most part, that's really what you want to unlock. Most people get this part wrong. It sounds really simple. But if you have more than 8 asks, you're already losing. If you have a 5-paragraph essay brief, who wants to work with you? Only people that you're going to pay a lot of money to. Right? Like, I mean, it makes sense. If you hire an agency and you have 27 meetings with them and they charge you to write the essay and then blah, 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 right? Yeah, sure, fine, it works. But in this world of really activating the average consumer to go out and make content for your brand, you got to empower creativity. You don't have to use all the stuff they make, right? If the guy's smoking a joint in the background, fine, don't use it, whatever. But you will find people like this young man that made that makeup tutorial that are magical. Okay, so now you know what you want to make, right? You have an idea. The next step is who's going to make it? How many of you already know who's going to make the content for your brand? A couple people. Good, I like that. The best creators are the target audience of buying your product or service. Very simple. Very simple. Again, I can't say the brand name, but I'll tell you some good stories. We had this pizza brand, and they wanted guys with 6-packs. And I was dying inside. You know, I'm like, why? I don't get it. And this one influencer made content with his shirt off, like unbelievable abs, and the pizza, and it was ridiculous. It was such a joke. It was terrible. That's not authentic. That doesn't resonate. If I had that asset up here, you guys wouldn't be like, yeah, I want that pizza. You'd be like, this is bullshit. That guy doesn't eat that pizza. That's what I mean. Like, that individual, that male model, was not our target for selling pizza. Who is your target? Who is your consumer? And then how do we get them? Okay, there's a lot of manual tasks here that I'm going to walk through with you guys. Again, you can do them on your own. This is most of why software exists. I'm not pushing software on anyone, but this is why it exists. Recruiting. You have to recruit these people. That takes time and energy and work and discovery. Communication, back and forth, takes time, money, resources. Negotiating, time, money, resources. Contractual obligations. Who owns the content? Who has the rights? You guys really want to make sure you have the rights if you do all that work. Let's say it does fantastic and you want to use it. What are you going to do? Go back to the talent and start negotiating that you want to put in a TV spot? Good luck, guys. It's very bad leverage in that situation. So you want to do all this work up front to ensure that you're able to use the resources that you work so hard to create. Once they create it all, let's talk a little bit about review. Generally speaking, the content that you don't like is the best performer. Now, that's a pretty big statement. The reason why I'm saying that is a lot of folks tend to really like the more polished content, the more high-resolution stuff. But what are we consuming on social? Think about this. If I had my cell phone, which I left behind because First Republic Bank is crashing and it's making me anxious, if I took a selfie up here with you guys, that would definitely be better than the production quality stuff I'm going to get from this team. That's no offense to this team. It's solely authentic, real, captured the moment. It's not high resolution, staged. Think about your own social feeds of the content that you're consuming from your friends, families, and influencers. So when you review it, keep your eyes open, not by do I like this or not like this, because that's subjective. And remember, the content that Jen likes is going to be quite different than the content that everyone else in the room likes. It's possible that a percentage of this audience will also like what Jen likes, but it's not possible that 100% of the audience will. Case in point, I sent an investor update, And I like to always include content. And one investor wrote back saying, this content is gross. And it was like an Oreos sandwich, something that melted. I don't know what it was. And I was like, yeah, I know. Isn't it cool? It's the best performer. Because it's subjective. Just like babies. When your friend's like, isn't my kid so cute? And you're like, no, right? It's subjective. It is subjective. So at the end, what do you want to really look for? Circling back to my comment earlier about Jen posting something on social, look at how did her content perform in her focus group of followers. I don't care if she has 100 followers or 100 million followers. That's not the point. The point is, did it resonate? And if the answer is yes, what do you do with it? And if you want to go even deeper, who did it resonate with? So let's say it resonated with pet lovers. Okay, great. Grab that asset and run ads against pet lovers. Easy. But probably the biggest win, because in this game, for those of you who have done this a few times already, it's a very burn and churn game. You go out, you have a goal, you want to sell some sweaters, you hire a bunch of influencers, some of them work, some of them don't work, it's a crapshoot, and then you go back to your boss, you're like, I need more budget, you do it again, some of them work, some of them don't work, it's a crapshoot. Time and time again. This influencer marketing thing, it works, I promise. But what's the real business? Figuring out what is working and then rating and scoring, building your own moat around the people that are driving value for your brand is the key to the game. There are some brands out there who have built armies close to 1 million people already. Now, that's all relative to your brand, but let's say you have 100. 100's amazing. You wake up the next morning, something's happening in the industry, there's some new trend, boom, you ping your 100 people that make amazing branded content for you. They already love your brand, they already own your product, you know that they're creative and they're authentic, and you can rely on them. They become part of your workforce. This is a big missed opportunity. Most folks just hire and fire talent managers, agencies, do it yourself, whatever your flavor of ice cream is. But all you're doing is hiring and firing, hiring and firing, versus rating and scoring and reactivating and reactivating. I feel like I'm really resonating with you. I don't know. Yeah? All right, good. That's cool. That's another thing you don't get on Zoom. You're like, are they listening? Okay. Let's keep going. When you find the army, when you find the people that are working for your brand, that's when the party starts. The bottom right-hand side is a milk crate. It's a milk carton. It's at Sprouts. I love showing my kids this. I'm like, this is what Daddy does. So that milk carton is actually a piece of social content that we made. We went out and we hired someone. They made fantastic content. The brand loved it. They put it on the packaging of their product. The mom wrote me a handwritten note that she was so proud. I mean, it's so authentic. That's not how most folks are thinking about social content. They're thinking about social content as one and done, because that's how a lot of us think about social. Like, I'm on the train, I'm off the train. I'm on the train, I'm off the train. Boom, 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 boom. More, 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 more. I'm on board for that. But when you find your winners, you need to maximize the winner. If you're activating influencers and you're not using that content, I think you lost 80% of the value. Why? Because they posted it on their Instagram stories and a bunch of people swiped up and you have some good metrics? What does that content mean if it performed well in their audience? It means it's authentic. It means it resonates. It means there's value here. Unlock it. Once you do all this hard work, some of us in this room might be using Excel spreadsheets. Some of us use dashboards. This really is not a shameless plug. It's just the slides I had. The tech or the Excel sheet, whatever you use, should be tracking what is working. Let's talk about what. What is, who is working? Is Jen working? If the answer is yes, why? Is it age, gender, demographic? Like, try to replicate it. Try to find more lookalikes like Jen and see if that's the special sauce. And then the next question is the content itself. So if some people in this room are influencers and they're trying to grow their audience and their business, you do this all day. What content am I creating that resonates? Random fact, I ran this on my own social profile. I don't know, I have like 300 friends or something on Instagram. I'm not an influencer. But it was interesting. All the cute bulldog, I have a bulldog, and kid photos, and the kids are adorable. They actually didn't perform as well as photos of me. And it made sense, because it's like, who's following me? It's my friends. They're not friends with my dog and my kid. They're like, you know, college buddies and high school buddies and blah, blah, blah. And they like miss me, right? Because we all live in this fragmented world now. It was a light bulb for me, because I started analyzing my own content. Whether you're a brand or an influencer, if you're not analyzing what is working for you, you're missing an opportunity. And the only way to really figure out if it is working for you is doing what? Test and learn, right? If it's the photo with the dog in it, or it's the 30-second video or a 15-second video, or it's the video where you're hopping on one foot, make it again, create it again, see if it works, see if it resonates. If you're running a brand, this is the game. Okay, that was the how to scale. The reason why I called that section how to scale is there's a lot of shameless plugs for technology. Because if you try to do this in Excel on your own, it becomes very resource heavy. Doesn't mean it can't be done. I know some very large brands who hired close to 40 interns to do this in Excel in the early days, you know? But now with technology, and there's a lot of them out there, you can start using tools to help you scale this thing. But scale does not mean going and activating 100 people. Scale means activating, learning, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, until you build your army. Once you have an army of people that you know love your brand, you're in business. It has to be mutual. You have to love them too. But now you have a game. Why? What's the power of that? This morning's trades is all the banks are crashing. But generally, there's other trades that are a little more interesting. You can hop on them. You could jump on them in 5 seconds, because you can reach out to 100 people that are on brand, and 20 of them might be available. You could have content that day. That's running the social wave. What about if you have a new product? What about if you want to you want user-generated content for your product upon launch? How do you do that? How do you create this FOMO that your product already has adoption? How do you launch something and it already has 20 video reviews? How do you launch something and it's like all over social and it only became available this morning? That's where this army becomes powerful. But you need to get out of the crapshoot game of just hiring random influencers. Oh, I missed this. Hold on. Okay, what is my North Star? How do we win? Bringing it back to the spectrum. You need to own the entire spectrum. The spectrum starts with Jen is scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or whatever her platform of choice is. You can catch her there. And then where does she go? She clicks on it. She goes to your website. What's your website? Is it all white backdrop product photos? Did you miss an opportunity? So I'll use the sweater again. I see some insanely handsome dad bod guy wearing this sweater. I'm like, oh, wow, I like that sweater. I click on it. I go to their website. In this case, it's Target. Right? Target. Great. What do I see there? The male model? Right? Do I see all shapes and sizes? That's interesting. For those of you that are in fashion, what do you think that does to return rate? Significantly less returns if you have all shapes and sizes. Own the entire journey, from discovery at the beginning, from awareness at the top, all the way to your product page, all the way to your retargeting ads, all the way to your emails. Let's use hospitality. You're going on a trip with your family. What? They send you a picture of the beach and you're like, oh, this place looks great? Send them a video testimonial of a family with kids jumping from one bed to the other. Sorry, my references are all family, so I'll resonate with those who have young families. But let's do the bachelor party, whatever. The point is, those videos speak to the consumer that is in market, that specific personalized message. So it's a missed opportunity if you just send them a male model. It's a missed opportunity if you just send them a really nice production shot of a beach. Whoop-de-doo. The place that we just went to for my kids' winter break, like, I have the cutest photos of my kids doing surfing lessons. Every dad would book that place. Right? So my content would speak to dads. If we went to the bachelor party, which is like a decade or so ago for me, I don't know if they would think it was so cute, 3 boys on surfboards. But they might like different content, which we won't speak of here, right? And they can create that content for that audience. That's the spectrum. Thinking about the new world of advertising and attention span as highly personalized. That does not work if you hire an agency to make high production quality content. It doesn't work. It's too expensive, it's one size fits all, and it's not authentic. The only way to do this is to rely on consumers, the people who love your brand. All right, here you go. Here's the full spectrum. The first and the cheapest, your existing customers. Who are they? Talk to them. Reach out to them. Ask them to make content for you. Some people here might think, why would they make content for you? Because they're narcissists, that's why. Because if you take their content and you post it on your website, they're going to tell their grandma. That's currency. You don't think it's currency? Think about it. How many of us do that ourselves? You don't think I'm going to send a photo of this thing to my mom? Like, we're all in that world. There is a currency of acknowledgement and likes and comments and so on that people value. So if I take your video and I put it on Nike.com globally, is that creator going to feel excited? Totally. Use that. Ask your consumers to make content for you. Pros and cons real quick. The pros, it's free. It's super authentic. They have the product or service already. Like, they're good. The cons, a lot of it's going to suck. That's okay. Find the jewels. Find the gems. They're out there. And then when you do, put those people in your army. So if 100 folks email you, upload, you use the social native tools, whatever your heart desires. If 100 folks make content for you and give it to you, and 10 of them are solid, make sure those 10 people are now in your ambassador pool. So that tomorrow when you have a new product, you say, hey, David, we love you. Here's 20% off your next purchase. Thanks for making that video. Or 50% off or free. You guys figure out your own stuff, right? But my point is, there's value to those creators. It's not one and done. They're talented and they're authentic. The next bucket, influencers. Oh God, it's such a loaded word. Influencer, creator, everybody has their own definition. I won't get into the nano, micro, macro story, but just think of it as there are people out there that you can pay to make content for your brand. Some people you could pay $100, some people you could pay $100,000. If you want to talk later about how to do that, we could talk about that, but putting it aside, there are pros and cons. Pros, by paying money, you can require the rights. So that's a big pro. With the consumer content, it's more like checking a terms and conditions or asking for rights. That's good too. But here it's like, I paid you money. So there's less issues there. The other pro is you have control. So for example, Petco, I really love this about Petco. They call it putting a leash on UGC. Okay, because UGC, everybody's making cute photos of their dog, but whatever, there's a bong in the background, they can't use it. But here, you can state, hey, no paraphernalia, no nudity. I need you to make sure the logo is very clear. make sure the leash is in your left hand. You could be a little more prescriptive. The cons, most people don't know how to empower creators to create. So it's a double-edged sword, right? You want to control, but like, are you just literally telling everyone to make you the same photo? Because that would suck. So that's a con. Another con is the space is very noisy on the influencer side. And that's a part of the evolution. In the beginning, you could send people some of your product and get content for free. Now that economy has gotten pretty robust. So it'll cost you money. How much should I pay? Negotiations. That stuff's, it's a lot of work, which again is why tools exist. And the other thing that I'll mention that's really important is with the influencer, it really doesn't matter that you hired someone that has 1 million followers. It matters if you hire them again. So knowing your goal at the onset and tracking and monitoring performance, not performance just that they posted it, did you make a sale, but did you use it again? Was it part of your email newsletter or on the PDP page? Is it driving conversions? If you don't have user-generated, if anyone here is running e-commerce and you don't have UGC on your PDP pages, you are missing out on massive conversions. That's just a statement. You don't have to buy the social native tool, like figure it out yourself, but you're missing out on an opportunity because people spend time looking at social content and then you can track which one of those assets are driving a sale. And the last bucket is taking advantage of the freelance community. You're going to hire a full-time in-house animator for a random Instagram post? Like, that doesn't make any sense. You can hire an animator in any country you want for a fraction of the price. Like, take advantage of that. You need to feed the beast. In order to do that, you need to find cost-effective ways to make lots of content. You can't make one video a month anymore. Hell, I don't know if you can make one video a day anymore. Okay, simple tips and tricks. User-generated content. This is the customer. Many of you don't even ask them to make you content. I don't get it. Why not? It's free. Just ask. How do you ask? You could send an email, you could put it on your website, but here are like the winning models. Number one, feature user-generated content that you do have on your website, and people would love to be on your website. So when I see on your site, upload your photo to get featured, and I see a carousel of a bunch of people there, what am I going to do? If I'm motivated by these things, what am I going to do? Put things in store. If you go to Doc Martens on the mirror, it says, tag at Doc Martens. Oh, that was another shameless customer plug. But you guys get my point. Every opportunity you have, it could be on the bottom banner of your emails when you send them coupons or whatever. And for those of you that are not in products, everything I'm saying applies to services too. Just ask your customer to create content. How do you sort through all that? That's why tools exist, or you can hire someone in-house to do it for you manually, depending on the size of your organization. Source through it all. And then the most important thing is when you do find it and you do like it, make sure you have a system in place for rights management. Because the last thing you want to do is do all this work and then not be able to use it. So just make sure you have a system. If anyone has questions, you're welcome to find me afterwards or email me. My contact information will be up at the end. Figure out how to get the right so you can use it. This is the make it rewarding thing. The more you use it, the more people will create content. So if you are running a store and you have UGC in the store, what do you think is going to happen? Right? If I walk into a Sephora and I see a banner of Jen, and it's like, tag Sephora on TikTok or whatever, and for a chance to get featured, fuck yeah, I'm going to do that. And by the way, just so you guys know, Jen's going to go in Sephora and make 1,000 videos of the poster telling everyone in the world that she got featured. How cool is that? So rewarding and showcasing is a big part of it. And then on the influencer side, you go through the steps that we talked about earlier. But forgive me for like really drilling you guys on this. I just live and breathe this for the last 7, 8 years. Allow them to be creative. Just allow them. Just say, hey, I want you to be creative. And then the end all be all, this like rinse repeat that I'm doing on you guys is only a function of the fact that I've said this 1,000 times to people who pay us a lot of money, and you just got to keep going until people listen. Like, this is the key. Reactivate the winners. Existing customers that win, influencers that win, employees that win. For example, let's say every barista at Starbucks made a cool vertical video of their favorite drink. And Starbucks used that on social. Why not? Why not? Well, what are we going to do? Go hire an agency to get a fake barista to make us a fake drink? Like that, it seems comical, but guys, that's literally how we do it. Why not? You think of all the baristas that work at Starbucks, there aren't some that are really talented at making vertical video? There are. This is a generation of people that are growing up with mobile devices that make content every single day. Many of them are very talented, whether they have 1 million followers or not. Okay, the landscape. You have a few options, so I'm going to try to educate the audience as much as I can on options available to you to help empower you should you have drank this Kool-Aid and believe that this is a good strategy. Okay, option number 1, the cheapest. Do it in-house. Hire a boatload of interns. Do whatever your heart desires. Buy Excel. I don't know how much that costs, but you know what I mean. Okay, it's resource heavy, right? That's why I said interns. It's very time consuming. It doesn't scale, but do it anyways, if that's the stage that you're at. This stage is the best stage because if you go in there and you do it yourself, and you see value out of it, then you'll see some value in SaaS and technology. Because you're like, oh, how do I scale this? So take a baby step. See if it works. And if it works and you like it, then go for it. SaaS and tech. Social Native, if you look it up, is a SaaS company. We provide you all the softwares, all the tools, so you can do this at scale in the hundreds and thousands, like all the big brands that I shared. What is the challenges with that? Well, it's costly. Right? You have to make a long-term commitment. You can't just do like a one and done. The SaaS solutions are annual. So like, am I in it or am I still like exploring? No pressure. Go do it yourself. If it's working, buy some fancy Ferrari technology. That will allow you to scale. That'll automate all the workflows. You don't want to go and pay people and PayPal by yourself and all that kind of stuff. But it does cost money. There's also tech-enabled. I want to talk a little bit about tech-enabled. There's a lot of agencies out there. Agencies, talent managers, companies that are doing it for you. They are taking very large margins. So a lot of brands think, well, I just want to outsource it. And that's fine. But you know, that's the give and take of hiring a talent manager. If you hire a talent manager, you are paying a premium so that you don't have to do that legwork. And then open marketplace. So I'm going to leave 10 minutes for QA. We can do QA or not, but I'm pretty excited to share this with everyone. As part of the learnings at Social Native over the last 7 years, I decided that it made sense to build an open marketplace. An open marketplace is Airbnb, Fiverr, all these tools that you go to where everything is fully transparent. Pricing is transparent. The processing fee is transparent. But you can do everything yourself. And you could, in theory, scale it because you don't have to go source them. You don't have to negotiate with them. Everything's done for you. So we just invested a few $1 million in building out this technology. It is literally not even ready, but I made a date that I was going to announce it today, so I'm going to announce it with you guys and share it. Just so you know, when you go to the site, I'm going to show it to you on the next slide, there's maybe only 30 influencers on there, and one of them is even me because I'm still testing it out. But I wanted to launch it. We have, at Social Native, we have 1.6 million influencers that I haven't invited yet. So I'm just testing out the tech. If anybody wants to use the tech as an influencer, as a brand, really more as a gesture to help me build it and like figure out where all the tweaks are before I try to scale it, it really would be an honor. So get in there and play with it. You play with it, you could dominate it when we really explode it and open it up. It's called branded content. It lives on brandedcontent.com. I bought the domain 4 years ago. Pretty excited about that. And it's a fully transparent marketplace. So you can go in there and type beauty influencer or TikTok influencer or whatever your heart desires, and you will have everything available to you. All the branded content they've ever made, all the brands they've worked with, what they charge, how many revisions, who owns the rights, blah, 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 all up front. And even our fee is transparent up front, right there for you. So no big middleman fees, no SaaS fee, nothing. Oh my God, I think I'm the most excited one about it. It's a big deal. Thank you. I love you too, bro. Yeah, so it's really early, but get in there and play with it. If you find a bug or two, let me know, and then we're gonna go totally ham and spend tons of money to promote this thing. I actually sincerely believe I think this is gonna be a public company. There is a serious need in the market for this. You want to go source your influencers on Instagram? It's a nightmare. You want to go negotiate with each influencer on how much it costs? It's a nightmare. You want to go back and forth on who owns the rights or how many revisions you got? It's a nightmare. But we hold the money in escrow, and as soon as they finish creating the content, we release it to them. And on the creator side, there's also a nightmare. They get paid net 30 or net 60. A lot of people are paycheck to paycheck. Some brands default and don't pay. They have their own issues. So we built out this system to really empower both sides. Okay, that's the mic drop. I'm going to pass the ball for questions. Oh, wow, there are questions. Thank God. It's the worst feeling when you're like, shit, I'm going to QA, and if there's no questions. What?
Wait.
Oh, it's live right now if you go to brandedcontent.com, but when will I get it live to like all the influencers? As soon as probably a few more weeks of testing. I got to find all the bugs before I start spending millions of dollars to promote it. Yes?
I'm going to interject if you guys can wait until I get a mic to you, because otherwise everybody can't hear you.
Fine, that's a fair point. We'll pass it to this young lady right here.
Right here?
Hi, my name is Christina. I'm head of brand for a tech company, and I wondered if you've seen that concept work for B2B brands.
Hello, Christina. Have I seen it work for B2B brands? Yes. Yes. I'm sorry I didn't put B2B case studies in there, but yes. And then to give you some perspective, oh God, I can't say customer names. Okay. If you are an HR software, B2B, don't hire people that are not HR managers to make fake videos for you that don't use your product. It's like, brings me to tears. And it's like, oh, well, we have $500,000 to spend. You're not going to take it? And I'm like, oh, like, I would love to, but I already know it's going to fail. So let's say in the HR software example, in theory, you need to go recruit HR managers, and you need them to use your software. If not, it's just fake, and it won't work. But yes, it does work in B2B if you use it the right way. All right, oh, I lost this guy. Go ahead.
Hey there, my name's Michael, and I'm the CEO of a EdTech nonprofit. We have a pretty large community, 10,000 students we serve per year. We'll be serving 100,000 students per year within a couple of years. And my question is around budget, and also what's the sequence of most important internal and external resources? So assuming a budget of $1 million plus per year, and how would you think about how to build this out? Assuming everything's been organic, we're loved on Reddit, we're loved on all these different like insider channels. Students are obsessed with us, alumni are obsessed with us. But what would you think about in terms of ideal starting budget per year? You know, you can do $1 million plus, but you could do less. And then also, most important critical 1 to 2 internal hires that you'd start with, and 1 to 2 most important external investments.
Okay, great. This is awesome. We have a real case study together we can work on. I'm assuming our goal is to sell the product.
So the goal is to become an iconic brand in education. We have previously, it's been more transactional. Customers are big tech, Fortune 500 companies, but the biggest value that we have is for great engineers to love us. So if you think bullseye, the best engineers in the world love you, and then you're also helping to create the next generation of great engineers, and that's the focus.
Okay, I love that. Wow, that's cool. So there is, Mike has something that a lot of folks don't, bye guys, which is he has customers who love him. So that's power right there. And I would encourage you in the beginning to not go too crazy and instead hire a manual resource internally to find the people who love you the most that also have talent in creating content. And then once you figure out who that is, then you try to start asking yourself, how do I scale it? So on step one, you don't need that much budget. You just need to allocate the resources to find the winners. But once you find who's winning and who's working, that's when you start using the capital. That's when the $1 million will be really helpful to try to scale it and say, how do I get more content like this? This is a common mistake. A lot of us try to throw money at problems. But here, if you just throw money, like if Mike went and just hired a bunch of influencers who don't even write code or whatever the education is, it would suck. And then it would be like, why didn't it work? Influencer marketing is all the rage. So find those customers that are really talented at making content and love your product, and then actually use that content to send to others and say, we want to hire you to make content like this. Because now you have a benchmark. Okay, I believe we're going to wrap. We have a question right there, or two.
Hi there, I'm Ben. I run a media agency. My question is, if you had to hire a couple of people internally for this new skill set on managing these things, who would you hire and how would you screen them? How many people and what do you look for?
Okay, great. Ben, great to meet you. My third son, his name is Ben. A few things. One, media agency is actually perfect. Because at the end of the day, media agencies they get a lot of backlash. Hey, the ad didn't work. But then usually the response is, yeah, but your creative sucks. So if you can get some more control back into your hands, that's one. The other, which is totally the winner, is in the media game, it's really just a function of numbers. If he only gets one video to run his ads, it's hit or miss. If we get you 20, you have a higher probability of finding winners. So I love that you're thinking about it that way. Who do you hire? Well, one, a lot of media agencies hire partners like us to just take it off. But let's say you wanted to do it yourself. Look, the truth is the cost of hiring someone to do it yourself is similar to buying a partnership. But either way, if you did, you would just be having this person do the manual legwork that we talked about, of like going to your customers and saying, hey, let's email the customer base. And then they would say, you're our media agency, leave us alone. And you got to like go do all that dance. With the partner idea, you find a partner that you like, and then you bring them to all your brands and say, hey, we recommend you use this. And just to give you perspective, that's what Facebook and TikTok do with us. So they like parade us around. 3 minutes? Oh, yeah. And Ben, we could talk later if it helps.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I'm the chef and owner of Cookie Rich. And as a small business, starting out, and specifically in the food world, how do you guys have kind of on social native ways where you can help smaller brands understand where we don't have kind of a history of working with influencers, of saying, hey, listen, sure, everyone can eat cookies on camera, but this is actually what we've seen in other brands, kind of just case studies for us all smaller food brands?
Yeah, first of all, great to meet you, and congrats on taking the leap. Yes, that's a lot of why I started branded content. And the idea is that you go in there and you would search like food influencers or whatever, and you'd be able to see that they made content for Bimbo, and you'd be able to see, was it the quality that you like, right? And you can see some data and things like that. So trying to help you take the crapshoot out. Because if you go there and the person has no resume, okay, I'm taking a risk. If the person has 12 big brands that are relevant to you, you know this one's a winner. Does that make sense? So that really was why I started branded content. And then on the social native side, it's just too expensive for a company like yours to pay a SaaS fee and then also pay influencers. So that'll work for Nike and L'Oreal, right? But it doesn't necessarily work for the smaller business. So that's a lot of the logic. And I would ask that you please use the tool and email me and tell me, what's wrong with it so I can improve it before we really push it out. Okay, amazing. Okay, God bless you guys. Yes, I see there's another question. No, yes, maybe? Okay, maybe we'll give...
Thank you so much. Really fast. Where have you been successful in quantifying awareness, where it's more difficult than a share or more traditional engagement metric?
Okay, great. Thank you for asking that. A lot of people buy tools and don't ask that. The key is not the influencer activation. The key is the repurposing in media. So let's say you're spending most of your money hopefully on media. And let's just say on the awareness front, your media is coming in at $10 CPM. But if I use this user-generated content, does my CPM go to $8? Remember, the platforms reward you for providing engaging content. If your content sucks, your CPM goes up. If your content's amazing, your CPM goes down. For those of us who are spending real money on media, you could pay for this strategy 100 times over by just getting a better CPM. That's really the game, is like looking at the CPM and saying, hey, I spend $1 million a month, I'm making it up on Facebook ads. I get a $10 CPM. But when I use this user-generated content, I'm getting a $6 CPM. Do the math on that spread. It's massive. That's really the game. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Okay, God bless you guys. Bye.